overloading elements and deafening enemies. This bellowing spellcaster turns the tides of any fight. Welcome to the Guild Wars 2 Elite Specialization Spotlight, featuring the Tempest, the roar of the elements. Spending time in the depths of the Maguma jungle has allowed elementalists to attune deeper to the leyline energies, giving them the ability to overload their elements for devastating effects. Overloading fire attunement spins the Tempest rapidly, burning enemies and granting might. When the overload is complete, it summons a fire tornado that continues to spin and burns enemies. Overloading water attunement heals and cleanses the Tempest and their allies in a large area. Completing a water overload casts a large final pulse of healing and applies regeneration. Overloading air attunement will summon a powerful thunderstorm, shocking nearby enemies. Completing the overload grants allies an electric attack and puts down a lightning field. Overloading Earth attunement elevates the Tempest with latent Earth energy, granting protection and crippling nearby enemies. When the overload completes, the Tempest immobilizes nearby enemies and summons a dust cyclone to further cripple foes. Each time an overload is used, it incurs a longer than normal cooldown before being able to return to that specific attunement. The Tempest gains access to shout skills that devastate enemies and bolsters allies. The heal skill is Wash Away the Pain, which heals the Tempest and allies and cleanses on the final pulse. Feel the Burn blasts flames from the Tempest, causing severe damage and granting fire aura to allies. Eye of the Storm massively increases the movement speed of the Tempest and grants swiftness to nearby allies while also breaking any crowd control. Flash Freeze chills nearby enemies for a duration, while applying Frost Aura and regeneration to friendlies. Aftershock slams the ground with significant force, immobilizing and crippling foes, while granting protection and Aegis to nearby allies. This effect also applies Magnetic Aura, which can reflect projectiles back towards enemies. The elite skill, Rebound, imbues allies with life-saving energies. If they take lethal damage while under the effects of Rebound, the ally will instead heal massively. The trait lines of the Tempest focus heavily on supportive features such as granting boons, increasing concentration, and of course aura generation. There are more offensive options that are available, specifically the Transcendent Tempest, which grants you a significant damage buff once an overload is complete. Sample support and DPS build linked in the description below. The Tempest Specialization grants access to the Warhorn, which bellows benefits for allies and roars demise for the enemies. Fire Warhorn skills are Heatsink and Wildfire. Heatsink grants you might and then spreads your active boons to nearby allies, while Wildfire creates a path of scorched earth in front of the Tempest. Water Warhorn grants access to Tidal Surge and Water Globe. Tidal Surge rushes forward, healing allies and applying regeneration while also knocking back enemies. Water Globe sends out a slow-moving orb that heals as it pulses. Air Warhorn skills are Cyclone and Lightning Orb. Cyclone pulls enemies towards the path of the projectile and grants swiftness to allies, while Lightning Orb launches a ball of lightning that deals damage as it moves. Earth Warhorn grants access to Sand Squall and Dust Storm. Sand Squall applies protection to the Tempest and their allies, and extends the boons currently on those affected. This skill also grants Magnetic Aura. Dust Storm damages foes and applies bleeding and crippling. The Tempest thrives as a support in both PvE and PvP. The ridiculous amounts of healing, boons, and cleansing, and of course the major aura generation capabilities give the Tempest one of the most sought after spots in any game modes. Offensive Tempests can utilize the devastating effects of their overloads in open world, specifically the air and fire overloads, which deal heavy strike damage and heavy condition damage respectively. In PvP, aside from their supportive capabilities, one of the strongest offensive builds being the Lightning Rod Tempest, which heavily emphasizes the air attunement and crowd control capabilities. Imbuing their voices with the elements, these casters bring devastation to their foes and salvation to their allies. Be warned, the roar from the jungle depths is not a beast, it is the coming storm. Interested in seeing the Elementalist Profession Spotlight? Click this link here to learn more. Thank you for watching the Guild Wars 2 Elite Specialization Spotlight, featuring the Tempest.